It was mid-February and growing dark outside. Pitt stood up from his desk and walked over to turn the gas up on the wall lamps one by one. He was becoming used to this office, even if he was not yet comfortable in it. In his mind, it still belonged to Victor Narroway. When he turned back to his desk, he half expected to see the pencil drawings of bare trees that Narroway used to keep on the walls, instead of the watercolours of skies and seascapes that Charlotte had given him. His books were not so different from Narroway's. There was less poetry, fewer classics perhaps, but similar titles on history, politics, and law. Narroway had, of course, taken with him the large, silver-framed picture of his mother. Today, Pitt had finally put in its place his favourite photograph of his family. In it, Charlotte is smiling, beside her stands 13-year-old Jemima looking very grown up, and 10-year-old Daniel, still with the soft face of a child. After the fiasco in Ireland at the end of last year, 1895, Narroway had not been reinstated as head of Special Branch, though he had been exonerated of all charges, of course. Instead, Pitt's temporary status as head had been made official. Even though it had happened several months earlier, he still found it hard to get used to it. And then he knew very well that the men who had once been his superiors, then his equals, and now his juniors, also found the new situation trying at best. Rank, in and of itself, meant little. His title commanded obedience, but not loyalty. So far, they had obeyed him without question, but he had had several months of very predictable events to deal with. There had been only the usual rumblings of discontent among the various immigrant populations, particularly here in London, but no crises. None of the difficult situations that endangered lives and tested his judgment. If such a crisis were to occur, it was then, he suspected, that he might find his men's trust in him strained and tenuous. Pitt stopped by the window, staring out at the pattern of the opposite rooftops and the elegant wall of the nearby building, just able to discern their familiar outlines in the fading light. The bright gleam of street lamps was increasing in all directions. He pictured Narroway's grave face as it had been when they last spoke. Tired and deeply lined, the effect of his difficult escape from total disgrace and from the emotional toll of his experiences in Ireland. Pitt knew that Narroway had accepted at last the existence of his feelings for Charlotte. But, as always, Victor's coal-black eyes had given little away as they talked.